Hello all, today I'm presenting not so hard cataract. So let's see this video. This is a real time video which is unedited. As you can see, these cataracts, they look bad, but actually they are not bad. They are quite brittle and it is easy to crack them. So to start with, two side ports were made, and what I do is I always make a tri-planar incision in all my cases. You should stain the capsule well in such cases because there is no red glow, so you might have difficulty in making a rexis just in case your capsule is not stained properly, and you should use visco as and when required. So the main incision is being made with a 3.2 blade, and usually I do it with 2.8 or 3.2, except in cases where I do micro incision cataract surgery where you take a 2.2 blade, and then the lens cartridge in such cases is thin and that goes in with the 2.2 blade. But see, now here when I was making rexis, I thought it would be better to inject visco so as to lessen that thrust, and my rexis was towards periphery, not actually towards periphery, but if I would have not used visco, it might have extended towards the periphery. And see, the rexis was made nicely. There was not much of a thrust, and almost near the completion, if you feel, you can always inject visco. It is always better to inject visco when in doubt. And see, the rexis was completed nicely, and this appears a well-sized rexis. Now hydro, it is very important that you have to inject fluid after tinting the capsule, and you can at times just move your nucleus with the help of hydrocannula like I did in this case, but for beginners be very careful. And I always go inside with the irrigation on, see the exposure of my tip. And these brittle cataracts, you can go for direct chop, and see, after burring into the nucleus it was easy to crack them. And you can always go and hold. Whenever your hold gets dismantled or dislodged, you can always go back and bury it inside the nucleus. And since, as I said, that these cataracts, they just look scary, but otherwise they are very soft, so it was easy to emulsify them. And see how easily I could just emulsify all of the nucleus in such a small time. And these cataracts, they require minimal energy. All you have to be safe in the central safe zone and deliver power as and when required, not always, because the more power you deliver when your nuclear piece is not there, and that would just harm your endothelium. And now see, the whole nucleus was aspirated, and in such cases what happens is at times the cortex left is just minimal, but still you need to clear them off, whatever amount of cortex is left, and you have to be very careful. And just in case, if you have thrust during this stage, if you feel your posterior capsule is coming up, then you have to use visco frequently so as to push back your posterior capsule, and that makes your job bit easy, just in case at this point you are feeling any thrust. So what I would recommend in such cases, sometimes what happens is with young and anxious patients, there is a lot of thrust, and at times if your wound is leaky also, if you are doing through the main port, then again the thrust is there. And now you see, I am polishing the posterior capsule, and it is quite easy to polish your posterior capsule. All you need is the setting that has to be changed while polishing, and you just check your cannula so that it doesn't have those any sharp things at the end. It is cleaned properly, because what happens is at times when you do it with your cannula and you have some sharp thing remaining at the end of the cannula, that might cause a posterior capsular rent. Otherwise it is quite easy to do polishing with the help of your aspiration cannula. And once the polishing part is done, the next part left over is implantation of IL. For beginners, I always recommend do it under visco, and in patients where there is a lot of thrust, again do it under visco. And if you are quite comfortable holding your irrigation cannula in one hand, then well, you can use hydro implantation, and it is quite easy. The only intention is that open your leading haptic inside the bag, and then trailing haptic can just be pressed down inside the bag, or you can use a dialer. For beginners, I would just recommend that use a dialer. And now see here, this is again one of the IL tantrums. The IL got inverted, but it is quite easy in cases of hydrophilic IL. This is probably a hydrophilic IL, and for hydrophilic IL, if it gets inverted, these ILs are softer than hydrophobic ILs, and it becomes easy. But now, since the IL was inverted in a different position, I used the dialer to deposit it inside the bag. And see, I'm trying to deposit the leading haptic, and it went into the bag, and trailing haptic was already in the bag. Now the job was done, and this was again one of the IL tantrums that we faced. I always call this IL tantrums actually because the IL don't behave the way we had expected, and now the case was done. And finally, hydro stitching of the wound, and I always inject intracameral moxifloxacin at the end of the surgery as a protocol, and this is the moxifloxacin which I injected. And finally, the closure of the wound. Thank you for watching this video. You can subscribe me on YouTube at Ashish Mitra 14. Thank you.